It's good to be with y'all this morning. We have been saying over the last several weeks how good it is just to be together in this space when we don't know what else there is to do or when we don't know what words to say. Being together communicates our love for each other. It communicates our care and concern for each other, even when we don't know how adequately to say that. You know, one of the things we've been talking about over the last several weeks since the tragedy of the last month is that the experience of this tragedy has shifted our perspective. I've heard many of you say that, and I've experienced that myself. That it's easier in this moment now to see what's important about life and what is not as important about life. It's a kind of priorities reset that makes me want to think about how I want to spend my time and where I want to devote my energy and how I want to prioritize spending my money. Now, I don't mean to look for silver linings. We short-circuit our grief if we decide that there must be something good in things that are bad. I don't believe that is true. But I do believe that the difficulties we face, the difficult times that we go through, if we let them, they can teach us something about how to live our lives. The lessons we learn are often things that we already know on the inside. Inside of us, we already know many of these things. But at least for me, they are truths that I need help to unlock. One author says the same thing about our religious teachings. The things we talk about here, most of them are things we already know. But we just had trouble putting words on them. We hadn't let them soak all the way in. I mean, I know that life is better when I love other people more. But somehow for me, I have to be called back to that over and over again, turns out. Our gospel passage today from Luke's gospel, it offers us a lesson like this. Jesus tells us a parable about a man whose fields have produced lots of crops, more than he can store, and he's deciding where to put all of this extra. So he decides to expand his barns. He'll be set for years if he does that. He can relax and just enjoy his own private abundance. And God says to him, "You fool, right now is the time to live out your values. Right now is the time to care about others and not just yourself. Not sometime down the road, but now. Right now," this parable says, "is the time to ask, what is my life all about?" This is my paraphrase here. Author and columnist David Brooks writes in his book, The Second Mountain, that we begin our journeys learning how to build lives for ourselves, how to achieve, how to be successful, how to build barns for ourselves, in the words of today's parable. This is good, but it is a part of our path that only takes us so far. And then our call expands. In the story today from Luke's gospel, the rich man, that's how the parable describes him, he seems only concerned about himself. We get to hear his interior monologue. The author of Luke's gospel says, he thought to himself, "What am I going to do with all this stuff I have? I'm going to build more storage for it. And then I'm going to say to my soul, 'Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry.'" That's what he says inside. Maybe on the outside, he's saying something different to other people, but Luke reports to us his thoughts. And they're all about him, all about his private enjoyment, his private pleasure. Brooks writes, his words now. Most of the time, we aim too low. We walk in shoes too small for us. We spend our days shooting for a little burst of approval or some small career victory. But there's a joyful way of being that's not just a little bit better than the way we're currently living. It is a quantum leap better. It's as if we're all competing to get a little closer to a sun lamp. If we get up and live a different way, we can bathe in real sunshine. This is the first and great commandment, Jesus says. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and all your strength. And the second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There are no commandments greater than these, Jesus says. Look outward towards others, Jesus says. There is no commandment greater than these. It's hard to do this, at least for me. I'm talking about myself here now. I have to face into the fears of not having enough for me, of not being up to the task of loving other people. My fears turn me back towards myself. But then Jesus calls us deeper. Quotation again from Brooks, slightly edited by me. In the deep is the terror of which psychology has warned us, Annie Dillard writes, in Teaching a Stone to Talk. But if you ride these monsters deep down, if you drop with them farther over the world's rim, you find what our sciences cannot locate or name: the substrate, the ocean or matrix which buoys the rest, the unified field. You find our complex and inexplicable caring for each other. This is the pivotal point, Brooks says. On the surface of our lives, he writes, most of us build the hard shell. It's built to cover fear and insecurity and win approval and success. When you get down to the core of yourself, you find a different, more primeval country. And in it, a deep yearning to care and to connect. This is where your heart and your soul reside. It's hard to break through that shell, isn't it? But if we let them, the events of our lives, especially the difficult ones, they will take us deeper than what's on the surface. Brooks again. When you ask people what experience made them the person they are, they never say, I was a shallow and selfish jerk until I went on that amazing vacation in Hawaii. No, people usually talk about moments of difficulty, of struggle. The British journalist Malcolm Muggeridge put it bluntly, maybe a little too bluntly. I can say with complete truthfulness that everything I have learned in my 75 years in this world, everything that has truly enhanced and enlightened my existence, has been through affliction and not through happiness. You have to lose what you think your life is about, Jesus says, in so many places in our gospel stories. You have to lose what you think your life is about in order to find what it is really about. Brooks says that what must die is our ego self. That's how he puts it. The impressive, rational way of being we constructed for ourselves. That's what he says. It's what you needed, he writes, to bull your way into the world, to get a job, to make your mark, to build an identity. But there is a deeper self underneath all of that that can't be seen until the ego self falls away. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your mind, and all your soul. And love your neighbor exactly as you love yourself. There are no commandments greater than these. Brooks offers us a way that we might do this in our lives. This new half of our life, he says, it requires us to make a sustained and significant commitment to one or more of these things: a vocation or calling, a spouse or family, a philosophy of life or faith, or a significant community of people. And it requires us to make a significant, sustained commitment to one or more of these things, not so that we get something out of it, not to achieve something for us, but simply so that we can offer what we have to others. He writes, it's a commitment, a promise to something without expecting a reward. A commitment is falling in love with something and then building a structure of behavior around it for those moments when love falters. I'm not talking about transactional arrangements where we're expecting something back. This is purely giving of ourselves. Our commitment to our vocation, to our families, our faith, to our communities. Commitments that require us to orient our lives outward towards others, towards our neighbors, to use Jesus' language. Deep in you, you already know that this is true. Love others, and your life gets better. Make a sustained commitment to others and keep it even when it seems like you're getting nothing in return, and it turns out your life will be more satisfying, more joyful. That is the path to which we are called. And we already know it's true. We've experienced it in our lives. I've experienced it in myself. And at least for me, I have to be called back to it over and over again. It is the path that Jesus calls us to today. Amen.